Kristine Windover here, your Superstar Director. It is day 37 of Leap to Lead already, and today's topic is back into the realm of organization of being a business owner, and that is budgeting and taxes a little bit. So I'll just start off with saying, as you guys have probably heard me say many times before, that any kind of actual tax advice or recommendations really needs to come from a tax professional. We are not tax professionals just because we are, joined Scentsy earlier than you did. That's the only credential we have, being your leaders. And I can tell you what kinds of things I track and save receipts for. Absolutely. But I can't give you tax advice because everybody has different situations, different family makeups, different, like whether you have school, whether you paid taxes for another job or didn't, your living situation, your vehicle situation, all of those things change. So I can't sit here and say, oh, you're going to not owe, or this is all you're going to owe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I can tell you the kinds of things that I know your tax professional or accountant is going to say, hey, save these receipts and bring them in for me. So, and then the other reason why I want to talk about this now is because I think that, one of the challenges a few days ago was for you guys to share kind of one of those things you wished you knew as a brand new consultant, in talking to you guys about being inspired for how to support your new team members. And so this goes along with that, in that there are things that we know down the road are important to get organized with, and that we probably would have, struggled less or done better if we'd been organized with those things right from the get-go. So I am going to share my spreadsheet that I built for my taxes, a blank one, and I just use that every year because I'm still bad at doing it monthly. But that would be my first tip, is to, do as I say, not as I do, and do it monthly, so that you don't find yourself at the end of April, like me, going, oh crap, I'm not done my taxes. In fact, even further to that story, doing my taxes was part of my to-do list for the end of this week or into next week. And then I got a call this morning that there was a cancellation for a surgery I need to have, and it was bumped up, and I'm having it on Friday already with a minimum of a week recovery time. So, Troy and I were like, okay, let's figure out childcare for Friday and all that stuff. And then I was in the shower and I just yelled out, taxes! Because, crap, how am I going to work on my taxes? And obviously you're not going to turn down getting in for a surgery that you thought you were going to wait 2 months for and have to do in the middle of summer. But it does kind of throw a wrench in my procrastination on my taxes plans. So that wouldn't have been as much of a stress if I had been doing my taxes monthly. And I put them off because I hate doing them, because I don't do them monthly. And every year I tell myself I'm not going to do this again. And then because it's already halfway through the year, I'm already behind. And I'm just so glad to be done doing my taxes for the year that I don't want to go back and do the first half of the current year. And so therein lies the problem. But that is a goal to work on. However, I do have a spreadsheet that I built because I still pay a tax professional to do it. I go to H&R Block just because it's a friend's family member that I trust and have been going to for years. And I can write off what I pay her to file my taxes. But I do most of the work for her in this spreadsheet. So I give her all the totals. I make an appointment, we go sit down, and she knows what to do next. Now, there are lots of Scentsy people that do their own taxes because they're comfortable doing it. Mine are a little bit more complicated with a lot more write-offs, right? But my tax situation has been a little bit more complicated as well, which has nothing to do with Scentsy, but just single mom and kid with a disability tax credit and all of those pieces, which is why I can't tell you my situation and have that tell you what your situation would be, right? That's one of those reasons, or one of those examples. So I usually just, do all the totaling for her and figure out my mileage for her and all that stuff. So I'm going to share that document with you as inspiration for the things you should be saving receipts for, because there's a lot of people that go, oh, I didn't know I should be saving receipts for that. There's lots of times we forget to ask for the receipt in different scenarios. I'm really good at getting the receipts when I'm on a Scentsy trip for training, but I forget at home more often and things like that. But you do get better. And then the way you should be tracking your mileage. Now, some tax professionals do it per kilometer, and they claim a certain mileage amount per kilometer driven for the business. Mine does it where I save all of my vehicle-related expenses for the year. So all my gas, all my vehicle maintenance, all my vehicle permits, stuff like that. This year I paid my permit, so that's going to be good for the write-offs. And I write my starting mileage of the year down, my finishing mileage, and I track all the Scentsy mileage that I drive. Then what you do is you total the Scentsy mileage and you figure out what percent that equals of your total mileage, and that's the percent that you write off of your vehicle expenses, instead of like a so many cents per mile type write-off or kilometer in Canada. So that's that part of it. And just, you guys are going to be kind of thrown, I think, sometimes people are anyway, with the things that you can save as receipts. But a good rule of thumb to kind of have in your head, he has headphones on, so he has no idea I'm doing a video right now. So he's loudly stomping through with laundry. Anyway, a good rule of thumb is to think in your head, am I spending this money to run my business? Or does spending this money support my goals in my business? So restaurants come into that. Yeah, it's fun to go eat out, right? That is a personal benefit. It's fun to go to Anaheim, to Disneyland. That is a personal benefit. But I'm going there for furthering my business goals. I am out for this meal, having a business meeting with team members, with a potential team member, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So if you try to think, does this further my business? And yeah, so anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that topic. And my challenge to you is to just not do like me and get yourself organized early in your business with all of these things. And then you won't have those Aprils where you are panicking. Or June, because we don't have to file till June as business people, because I don't have personal taxes to file. Just my, personal taxes, but, I don't work another job. My Scentsy income is my only income. But if I do owe, there's no penalty if I file by June. But if I finally learned one year that from my tax lady that if I do owe, the interest starts charging April 30th or May 1st. So I should be trying to get it done by April 30th to not have to pay that interest. But there's no penalty until June 1st. I don't know. I forget. I'd have to look those up. But anyway, so there's that piece that I'm going to share with you guys. And I just wanted to kind of have that little talk and tell you guys about that and give you my little vote of encouragement to, set yourself up smartly for that stuff instead of, getting to the end of the year and realizing you don't have the receipts and you could have, had those write-offs saved. The next piece, though, the actual topic I wrote down in my planning for today was about budgeting and Scentsy money, and how we spend on our business. And that is kind of multifaceted approach or whatever that I wanted to say with that. So yes, there is the saying or the belief that you have to spend money to make money, or that you have to invest in something. That is not wrong. I'm not going to say it's true. I'm going to say it's not wrong. But it doesn't have to be the be-all and end-all. There are multiple stories of people who, that's what we sell in direct sales is you only need your starter kit. You only need to become a consultant, because we have multiple starter kits now. We have a hostess exclusive starter kit that has less stuff than the big starter kit. So it's not even about the stuff. The only money you have to spend is in basically the money you pay to become a consultant. People can, if you don't have internet, there are people that go to the library to input orders. or sit on their phone in the free Wi-Fi at Starbucks. If you, we are encouraged to not carry stock. And if you sign up for events, you don't have to have stock there to sell. It's your business. You can do it any way you want. You don't have to spend. If you want to grow faster or make it a little bit easier on you, there might be some spending involved in that that's going to help you. So that's where that statement comes in handy, is to say, you know what, it's okay though. I am making an investment that I'm going to make back. This really hits home, or this really is kind of a good example of this, is host flipping. So if you give a party to a host, you are investing because you're giving up the income you would have made, some of the income you would have made off that party, as being the consultant and making the 25 to 30% off of it. But you are investing in the future of your business by growing your team, and that person will most likely sell a lot more and bring in new team members than you are capable of. I can't tell you guys how much I have an eyelash bugging me, still pinch myself in realizing I remember being so excited about my first recruit, about my team hitting 10, about my team hitting 20, about hitting director, about my team hitting 50. My team hitting 100 felt like it took forever and was this huge milestone. But when the momentum gets going, I didn't recruit 600 people, right? They recruited. That's why building your team is so big and is an investment, because they're bringing, just like getting a host that introduces you to new potential customers and hosts and recruits. New recruits bring more people onto your team if they're building their team. And that's how you get to the teams of, 400, 600, 1,000, 4,000. My upline has over 4,000 in her organization now. And she joined a year before me. That's it. But she did her business differently. It grew in different ways. She looked at online. She looked at going international quicker. She just did different things, and she had money to invest in different ways, and she invested in different ways with her time, energy, smarts, creativity, and money, right? So that's how different it can be. So you don't need to. I have a business I am proud of. I didn't need to invest as much or do all those same things to build this business. But that shouldn't mean that if you have the ability or you have the ideas that you hold back from them because we say that you don't need to, right? That goes along with the whole why aim for the minimums, right? And then I want to tell you guys, though, two things that are, I feel, very important lessons as soon as you start building that team. One comes from Heidi and one comes from Orville, ironically. I didn't do that on purpose. They're just two lessons that stuck with me as soon as I learned them, and I feel they're necessary and very helpful if you know them as soon as you start building a team. Because change is harder to make after bad habits are formed. Starting off with good habits. Taxes, right? It is harder for me to get to a monthly taxes thing when I'm always exhaustedly doing my taxes from the year before in the middle of the year. And then if I want to get onto a monthly thing, I need to keep doing my taxes longer when I've already hated doing them for a couple weeks to get caught up for that. That is harder than if I had just started from the beginning with doing, tracking my expenses monthly in a better way. I didn't build that spreadsheet till actually I didn't even build it for taxes. But again, right, whatever our motivation, I actually built this spreadsheet when I had to go to court for child support stuff. And they were like, okay, well, you have to give us what your income is so far this year. And I'm like, well, but my expenses aren't off. I can't tell you what my income is in May. So they're like, yeah, you have to, create a document that shows us your expenses against your commission pay. So that's actually what spearheaded me building it in about 2014 or 2015. But then it's really been helpful to kind of use that spreadsheet every year now. Okay, so there's 2 lessons that have to do with budgeting and building your business and how you invest in your business when it comes to, but right from the beginning, I think they're really good lessons. The first one that's really important has to do with team, how you spend money on your team. For a couple reasons. One, if you're the type that builds a team, you usually, this is not a for sure, but usually that means we are the type that loves to give and help people, right? We attract people. We want to build a team because we like helping people. So that means we probably feel good as gift givers. So that's the first part of it. Then we're influenced by all these other Scentsy leaders that we meet that are gift givers. And we want to be like them. And we compare ourselves to everybody and we think, well, to be a good leader, I should be giving all these amazing gifts. And I should be sending out these, running these incentives. And we've all been there. We've all gone through this period of like trying to find what works for us and trying to not just feel like we have to keep up with the Joneses in the Scentsy world of Scentsy leaders, but also just do things that make us feel good about what we're doing or incentivize and motivate our team. Because sometimes that money being spent is a good investment in your business when you reward people. But how much do you need to spend? How do you spend that? What areas, who do you spend that on for it to not be wasted money? And so the quote from Heidi that stuck with me was something she had trained early on her team that had just been passed down, that eventually made its way to being said to me by somebody, or me reading it in a Facebook group somewhere, was to spend no more than 10% of your income from your team sales on team incentives. So not 10% of your total commission, 10% of the bonus you make off your team back into your team. And when you're just starting out and you have a smaller team, that's not a very big number. So if you jump in spending hundreds or thousands on incentives, then this brings me to the second quote. They tie together. The second quote is a quote from Orville, and it does have to do with this, but it also just has to do with how we run our business and general budgeting and spending on our business. And he said his biggest encouragement is to spend, you guys are going to want to pause and rewind and write this down. I swear these 2 quotes are amazing. Spend your Scentsy money on your family, not your family money on Scentsy. So that's what we mean. Some people are in a different life circumstance where they have more disposable income that is their choice of what they spend their money on, and they invest it in their business. But not everybody has that. I certainly didn't have that and still don't have that, because then I became a single mom. So as I started to make more with Scentsy, my family budget commitments required all of that Scentsy money. So I never got to that point where I was like, savings and just fun money from my Scentsy, or my Scentsy being fun money. My Scentsy became what supported me. My family money. That's what Orville's getting at, is don't spend your Scentsy money. Spend your Scentsy money on your family. What you earn from Scentsy should benefit your family. Don't take family money that's intended for other things and spend it on your Scentsy. So there are going to be months where that isn't the case, right? There are going to be decisions in your business where that maybe isn't as easy, like when we're investing in doing these big events that don't necessarily make us a profit, but we know down the road they will. But it's just a very important lesson to live by or strive for. And it ties into the quote from Heidi about how we spend on our team, because that is a big area where, as we build these teams, we can feel like we want to spoil them and do what our upline is doing, but our upline is making more of a team bonus than we are. So just because our upline is able to, like I really have tried not to do too much. And I find incentives don't necessarily do what they're intended to do. I think that people who are motivated to work for incentives were motivated anyway. So I'd rather praise in different ways. And I've played around with it, and I'm not perfect, and I still don't have my answers of how I want that to look. But regardless, what I do can be more than you already, because you don't make the same team bonus. And again, my Scentsy money is supporting my family completely, especially now with Troy and I both doing it. It's even more important that we're smart with what we spend it on and invest it in. But I'm also in a place where if I'm following this 10% of my team bonus model, the percentage is going to be higher than when I was a lead consultant and my bonus on my team was $50 a month, or a star consultant, and it was a little bit higher than that, and so on and so on. And different months of the year, those bonuses are higher too, right? Because our sales season has fluctuations. So those are the two kind of things that I wrote down as like, these are good lessons to give them, and these are good lessons to have in the early part of your business. Because if you start now living by those mottos, nothing can stop you, right? You aren't going to find yourself in a place where and you're also not going to find you're less likely to find yourself in a place of wanting to quit or getting pressure from your significant other to quit because of Scentsy becoming a negative in terms of spending your family money too much on things for your Scentsy business. Because again, remember why you joined with your time and with your finances. It's important. And Alison Dalkey always says why it's so important to have a budget and review it, because you need to know if you're making a profit so that you can adjust things accordingly and make better decisions. Because if you're not paying attention to how much you're spending in postage on those mail outs in comparison to what return you're getting from those mail outs, then you may just continue to waste money in that area and have it never change. Now, sometimes mail-outs might have been a bad example, because sometimes it might take a while. Like, you still have to have that faith and that belief and give it a chance for those things before you decide this isn't working. Like Scentsy with Grace Adele and Velada, they gave it a couple years of each, but then they had to, they weren't afraid to say, this isn't turning out the way we envisioned it would. So we need to make a tough decision and stop it, and invest that money back into the Scentsy brand that is doing well still and needs our time investment and our financial investment. So I think the Grace Adele and Velada story are a very good example of this, that we can take on a smaller scale to our own businesses. So I'm already over 20 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. These videos are getting longer. I just love talking to you guys and teaching you this stuff. So my challenge, like I said, I'm going to share the spreadsheet with you all. And my challenge to you today is to read it and start thinking about, what receipts you should have been saving that you haven't. Come up with a system to save your receipts in. Go to the dollar store and get one of those little, you can get them from the dollar store. I should have brought it in here as an example for you guys about a thing that you can keep right in the glove box to put your gas receipts in. I have a memo pad on my phone. Set up that memo pad. Go outside right now and write your mileage if you haven't. You're starting odometer reading in your car. That's my challenge, is to get yourself set up with that kind of stuff and to make a budget. Make a small plan for your business of, what you think you can afford to spend on your business in these next few months and stages as you're growing. So that you have a goal, right? You always need to have a goal written down. It's always better. So that still applies to finances and what you spend on your business. So that's my challenge to you guys. They're not easy challenges. But again, this program was built to challenge you hard and for things that are going to give you results. And I just know from experience that it's harder to do it later, but that they do have a big impact on not only your stress level or your commitment to your business or your support from your significant other to keep going in your business, but also just help you do better in your business because you're evaluating and making smarter decisions with the money investments. So I can't believe we're almost to the end. You guys are going to see the next few days because of this surgery that I just told you about is happening on Friday. I'm going to look exactly like this for the next few days because I'm going to pump out more videos. But I want to get this one uploaded for you guys soon. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.